Vivian Maier, or shall I say Miss Maier, Miss Mayers, Miss Smith, or Miss V. Smith, such were the names or aliases under which she presented herself to others. When asked once what she did for a living, she responded, "I'm some kind of a spy." And she responded in a French accent, which she probably learned with her mother and grandmother, both French speakers native from Saint-Julien-en-Champsaur. And in a sense she was. She was a spy of the world, voraciously capturing what she saw, finding connections and multiple meanings, finding amusement in the irony of life, which she captured however candid, sordid, or tragic it could be. And her photography does present a reflection of herself, which is one we can only speculate upon, since her work was discovered by the world after she died. And putting this reflection together with what is known of her life, spending her early years between a little village in the French Alps and New York City, having a faded relationship with many of her family members, dressing in a different fashion, becoming an avid collector or hoarder of memories through paper clips, little bibelots, newspapers, clothing, which she insisted in keeping private. We have a sense of someone who simply had trouble fitting in. Photography, at least to my eyes, in Vivian Maier's case, becomes a form of communication. It's a language without words or barriers. It's constituted of gestures, of details, of shapes and forms, of oddities and rare moments, captured by the eyes of someone who kept it all under wraps, yet was aware she was a good photographer. So I'm sure that, at this point, the question still poses for both you and me. Who is Vivian Maier? Her negatives seem to have been randomly acquired by John Maloof, 2 years before she passed away. And at the time of his finding, he was looking for historical photos of Chicago, a city where Vivian lived in for many years after leaving New York City in 1956. And although Vivian Maier was sadly never a real-life spy, despite photographing mainly during the Cold War years, she would work for the next decades of her life as a nanny. And while performing her duties, Vivian seemed to embody the spirit of a true Mary Poppins, taking the children she took care of on journeys through different parts of the city, some glamorous and others not so much. And her camera was with her during these explorations of the everyday life. In fact, her cameras were always with her, like an extension of her body. Such was her passion and her devotion to photographing her reality. And in this line, we can thus consider the idea of photography being a reflection of the artist she was. And her photos are perhaps among the most beautiful, faithful portraits I've seen of what it means to be human. To live despite what odds are given to us. And Vivian's work truly embodies so many different aspects of life. It can be ironically funny at times as she photographs people from different angles or inserts herself into the composition. It can be compassionate in some other instances as she captures those less fortunate and forgotten on the city's sidewalks. And it can also work as an homage to childhood and innocence, especially when her photos acquire this childlike, sincere, intimate relationship with its surroundings and its subjects. And sharing gold in this particular case, can be a fitting comparison or metaphor, if you will, for Vivian's photography. Unlike what is believed by many, she was aware of her worth as a photographer and reached out at some point to a friend to have her work printed. And although the reasons of why this never happened remain forever a mystery, those who knew her claim she wouldn't have liked all the attention her photography got. In fact, they claim she would have not known how to deal with it due to her unique personality. And so, if she treated her photography as something precious, like gold, as those who knew her said she did, why would she not want to share it? What if she was just happy photographing for herself? If she truly didn't mean to share her gold with us at some point in time, Why would she leave it behind and sold it at some point in her life, and not burn it or leave it somewhere 6 feet under, like some artists did? Perhaps we can also add into the question that Vivian did struggle with money for some time in her life, and lived in poverty her later years, which might have contributed to the anonymity of her photography. And this detail also emphasizes all the controversy, all the mysticism and fascination surrounding Vivian Maier's story. And I guess this shall be yet another unanswered question. Regardless of this, the truth is that much can be taken from these photos. First, that the principle to pick up a camera should always be something along the lines of curiosity, to have fun because you love photography, and never for recognition, because fame, however it might meet you in life, should never be a mean but a consequence of your work. And your work, that should be based on your vision. And if you don't like the word vision, let's use perspective, or how you see the world. You might take inspiration from others, but should never compare yourself to others. And if you feel like taking a picture of a bin, do it. Vivian Maier teaches us to be unique, to speak through our photography, and to embody the camera as a tool that improves our speech, as an extra pair of glasses that helps us seeing the world a bit more defined. So Vivian Maier is a name surrounded by mystery. We don't know who she was, and we'll never have a chance of getting the answers for the numerous questions we surely have. But we do have something more important in a sense. We have her photography, from where we can draw inspiration, learn about light and shadow, and how these interplay with objects and buildings, how these bring dramatism into a photo, learn about movement and how things float, interact and combine themselves with one another. And perhaps because most of her work, at least that I've seen, was captured in black and white, this gives it almost another dimension. Gestures and details become timeless and inherit this sort of mysticism which is quite difficult to put into words. So I think it's time to look at the work of Vivian Maier and so many other photographers and judge it from a professional point of view, with the respect and the dignity they deserve. And more importantly, to use this observation to learn and start taking things to our own photography